Traders, welcome to today's event. This is Jim Simmons with ARC AI and Neural Street Trading Academy, and we will get started with our AMA on the new AutoFibs Algo. Really a great tool that just released, of course, and so we're going to go through how it works, answer questions, go through templates and settings, and some of the details. So let's go ahead and get started here. So first off, disclaimer, we can't guarantee results. Of course, products and services are for educational purposes. There's risk involved with trading. Please understand that. That's awesome, Lance. Lance says, made 2 trades today that paid for the tool with 3 ES contracts. See, there you go. All set, good to go. Love it. So very cool. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. A couple things that I want to touch on first is just some of the details of how the system works. We like to go a little bit deeper into the inner workings of the tool and some of the things that you can look to optimize or that you might want to trade with or without and so on. So we'll spend some time going through that. Of course, we've got Mr. Jeff Zimmerman is in the house as well, Mr. Dev himself. So as we get some of the more complex questions, we can have him as an ally here. So he's here with us. So everybody say hello to Jeff, and glad to have him here as well.
Hey, Jim.
Hey. So of course we are recording the event. We'll send the recording out. Of course, it'll be posted where we post videos, things like YouTube and our website. Of course, it'll be posted there. So feel free to refer back to this as much as you need to. All right, so AutoFib. So what is it? It is a multi-TimeFrame Fibonacci confluence algo. What it does is it plots Fibonacci's all over the chart, and it finds the areas that are going to have the most Fibonacci's that line up together with confluence. And so, these are going to be really based on price action, based on market structure. And of course, the best part about this tool is that it is forecasting in nature. And so that is a huge advantage as traders to have anything that forecasts is certainly something that is an amazing opportunity for us. Leading signals, multi-TimeFrame backtestable support and resistance. You can trade this on any chart you really want, and you just go in and you're going to plot out, what time frame you want to trade with, and it'll do all the work for you there. So really great. Again, we're taking hundreds of Fibonacci levels. We're filtering them all down to just a few levels that you can trade. This type of analysis, of course, absolutely not capable by humans. By the time you'd figure out what's going on, it'd be tomorrow. So a lot of filter opportunities that we're going to take a look at, things that you can optimize, the strength of the Fibonacci, frequency of levels, the time frame of the analysis that we talked about that a little bit, entries per zone. We're going to go through all this. I figure it's probably best we just look at charts because that's going to be a lot easier. So let's get some examples and then we'll go through it here. So first off, when we look at support and resistance with this tool, we're looking at it as a zone. As we know, the market usually doesn't say, oh, I was going to come right to my level. My drawing tool is not working. Let me get a different one. There we go. Does that work? That works. You guys see that okay? Do we need a different color? Does that work? Yellow's probably easier to see. Let's do that. All right. So when we think about the market bouncing, pivoting, reversing, any of the sort, rarely does the market come right to the level and then leave. It's oftentimes it will come into the level, might even overshoot it a little bit. And that's something that we need to keep in mind as we're trading these levels, is that, really the market is best applied as a zone and looking at trading that as a zone. And we can set the size of that zone. Now we can set it as static ticks. So if you're using a fixed range chart, that's probably going to be the way to go for you. You might want to use a fixed range zone, and that might be the go-to for you. Other traders who are trading on a volume chart or a minute chart, you might opt to go with a variable range zone. And that is a capability in this tool, which is really pretty amazing to be able to do that. So the zone can actually be sized based on ATR, which is pretty incredible. So, but everything works in zones. You can set the zone as narrow as you want. If you want it to just be one level, you can do that. But we're going to suggest, obviously, the opportunity of plotting them as zones. So we've got our resistance zone support here. You can set how many times it trades against the zone. You can set how far it needs to go away from the zone before coming back and trading it again, which is also really cool. And you can set how far it needs to go through the zone before it breaks. You can set everything. You can really, sky's the limit as far as optimizing it the way that you want. The thing that I I tend to love about this tool in particular is a lot of tools in general. It's more, here's how the tool works, use it the way that it's intended, right? With something like this, you have so much freedom and flexibility in using the tool that it becomes more of, you're not fitting the tool is fitting you. So if you like to trade on a 5-minute chart on ES, trade on a 5-minute chart on ES and get the settings to work for you, because everything is optimizable. And I don't think personally that there's a chart that you could find that you can't get a good optimization on and trade this thing. It's that good and it's that powerful, and I think there's that much opportunity with it. So so those of you that have something that you generally have your preference in what you're looking for, you can cater the algo to what you're trying to do, which is really amazing. And yeah, incredible. Yeah, absolutely. You can use this on Renko charts, 100%. In fact, I like to think it would do extremely well on Renko charts. Now, all of the analysis is done on minute bars. So as far as like the algorithm that is actually figuring out where those support and resistance levels are, it's all going to be based on minute charts, which is fine. It works great. But you could certainly use a Renko chart if you like. Absolutely. Refining the zone, again, you know, the smaller the zone, you might miss some, right? The bigger the zone, you're going to get more fills, but your fill might not be always the most ideal fill that you can do. So we got a good question here. Can the fib ratios be modified? No, nor would you want to. The tool is that good. There's no need to go in and filter that. Here's the variable buffers size. So we have this zone is changing in size based on ATR, which is really cool and something that would appeal to those that are trading variable range charts. So here we can see, you know, the market's pretty narrow, right? It's not really doing anything. And so our zone narrows down. We narrow down the zone. As the market starts to break and it starts to expand, we see these zones start to get bigger, which is super cool. And so as we come into the zone, you now have ATR driving where you're getting into the market based on that zone. Pretty cool option, unique feature that I think is pretty slick that they built into this. Entry location. You can actually set where in the zone you want to get in. So if you want to trade at the edge of the zone, you can trade at the edge of the zone. This was actually a stop out. If you trade at the midpoint, you can get in at the midpoint and that becomes a profitable trade. And you could get in right at the line and just say, I don't really care about the zone. I just want to get in at the line itself. Well, you can do that too. So again, you can look at entering anywhere you want. And of course, you can optimize that too. So not only can you optimize the zone size based on ticks, you can optimize the zone size based on ATR, or you can optimize where you get in on the zone. All of this is optimizable, meaning that you can put this into the brain of the algo, run an optimization on it, and take the best opportunity. You can optimize so much with it, which makes it a really good opportunity. Trade signal logic, we can see, you know, a couple other factors that we can look to implement with our trading this as well. bars from the zone start before you trade. So if the zone starts here, then you can say, I want, 20 bars to, be put together before it actually trades the entry of that zone. Like for this zone to be relevant, I want it to be there for a while. And that gives you the opportunity to do that. You can also say how many bars go outside the zone before I'm willing to trade it again. And so here we can see, there's a number of bars that are outside the zone that comes in. And so it was able to take that trade. You can do the max number of entries per zone. So if you only want to trade one time off of each zone, then you can do that. And the idea there is there's the risk that the market comes up, gives you a profit, you're out of the trade, you try to get in again, and it sweeps through the zone. And so if the market that you're trading it on tends to do that and maybe only respects the level once, then you would set, just one max entry per zone. Also, the smaller the chart, the smaller the analysis, you're going to have, more zones. So those zones, you might not want to trade them more than once. If you're, scalping smaller zones, you're going to look at maybe just trading it once, maybe twice, because the odds are after that, you're kind of cooked. Like the thing of it is too, is some markets will give you multiple opportunities at a level and some don't. And so knowing your market, and this is why I say factoring the tool to work to what you want it to do. There's a really great opportunity, and I think you can really optimize that as well. On the long entry, do you need to set how many ticks away from the line? You can. Yeah, you can set how far away it goes from the zone before it comes back. You don't have to. You certainly don't have to, but you can use that as a filter. And I think it's a good idea because you don't want where it's, you didn't trade it, it kind of hovered around and, maybe it kind of did this thing and you took a trade and it came out and you have maybe you have a really small target or something, I don't know. And it barely comes out, comes back in. You may not want to trade that because the market might be consolidated and it might kind of do this thing for a while and then eventually break. So, opportunities are there, however you want to manage that. So some pretty slick features. Trading time windows. Everybody has shouted from the rooftops that they wanted to be able to block certain times that, they may not want to trade. And we've built that in this version of the algos. Really, really cool. I mean, I saw this and I go, what? They did it. So really, really amazing. We were, pretty thrilled to have that built into this. So I know a lot of our traders are pretty excited about that one. So, so good stuff. So you can, if you want to trade it, let's say you want to trade the equities from 8 to noon, but you want to block the open. Okay, block the open. If you want to trade from 6 to noon, but you want to block 8:30 and 9:30, you can do that. And so it's really great to be able to have that capability for sure. So good deal. And I think you can set up to, well, here, let's look. You can set up to 3 invalid trade windows per, per iteration or per, session. So pretty slick. Yeah, ATMs are only made through the algo itself. You can't use an external ATM unless it activates after the orders are on, and that's a whole nother scenario, I guess. But yeah, trading time windows are there. Very cool. Trading with momentum. This is another huge update that we did in this algo. Traditionally, you would have to be, histogram is above 0, then you're trading long. The BBs, which is the slow EMA, sorry. If that was below 0, you would trade short. You had a couple options. Well, that's not always the best way to look at momentum. What if momentum is clearly oversold and then we have an EMA on the momentum filter itself and those EMAs cross over? coming out of overbought. Well, that gives you an opportunity to trade here versus having to wait until here to trade. Now, in this example, market kind of went sideways for a little bit, but that's also a confirmation of exactly what we're talking about, is that the market was overbought, fizzled out. We're starting to see divergence plotting in, and then we get the EMAs cross. And this is kind of the first sign that this thing is rotating and it's moving. And so it gives you and you can set the speed of these EMAs as well. So let's say this is too fast for you and you don't want them to cross that soon. Maybe you want to have a slower moving average. You can do that. And then maybe they cross here and this is a sweet spot. Oh, by the way, you can optimize all this as well. So yeah, I was pretty excited that they were able to come up with this. It gives you a faster option it really helps you dial in, well, when do you want the momentum to kick in? When do you consider that the momentum is on your side? You might think that once it crosses zero, it's old news because that's what everybody else is trading maybe, right? So this gives you an added edge and you can really go to town with that, which is pretty slick. So that's available for you. You can see here again on the other side, if we look at the long, there's the cross. And so rather than waiting to here to get in, you would have missed that trade. And that was a really nice little trade. So pretty slick. Good stuff. Let me expand out the chat here. There we go. Question, I have the algo running a sim. When I make it trade myself and close it, I have to turn on the algo again. Yes, that is required. It's a NinjaTrader thing. There's nothing we can do to get around that. Yeah. So every time if you restart Ninja or you close the chart and open a new one, you always have to re-enable it. Yeah.
Jim, I want to add something to that. There's a drop down menu that you can close the trade by clicking off from the drop down menu without disabling the algo. So that's why we put that there. Let's say you're in the middle of a trade and it's only halfway to the target, but you do want to get out for some reason. You don't have to kill the algo to do it. You can just go to the drop down menu and click off, and it'll stop trading further, but it'll also close the current open position.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Good addition. Yeah, absolutely. So cool. So new momentum. Then of course we have the moving average filters based on trend filtering. So if you want to filter based on an SMA or an EMA, you can do that. We also have a moving average crossover filter. This is newer. And so you could say that only when these EMAs are crossed, or you could say only when the market is above the EMAs, do I want to trade it? Or you want to use a simple moving average instead of a exponential, you can do that. Or if you want a stepping moving average and you want to trade only when the market is above the stepping average, you can do that. Or you can set it to the stepping average is moving up and I don't really care if the market's above the stepping average or not. I just want it to trade when the stepping average steps up. You can do that as well. So however you decide as a trader, whatever your bias is on how you determine uptrend, downtrend, and so on, you've got that capability built into this tool, which is incredible. You also have market structure, which is pretty insane to be able to trade only with market structure. The brains of the market structure have also been updated with this version. And so it's even more responsive. So you can say, well, we've got market structure. Where's my drawing tool? Yeah, so market breaks structure. So we're only taking shorts. So we would not take this trade. We would take this one. Or the market structure goes up, then we would only see, here's the short, and then market breaks the structure. So then we're only taking the longs. And so we would skip that trade and only take the longs. Man, sky's the limit with it. So let's see, we got some more questions coming in. Keep them coming too, by the way. If you have questions, feel free to ask. I mean, this is really meant to be for you guys, what you want to go through. And so this is your time. Can the order executions be manually overridden in progress? Yes, absolutely. You can move the orders wherever you need to, for sure. And you can also just click the drop down and click it to off if you need to bail on a trade and all that. We also have Auto-Disengage filter. Not filter, but auto-disengagement. So if you're in a trade and you want to trade it sort of discretionally, you can engage the algo. The algo will take the trade and it will immediately, it'll disengage it for future trades. So as soon as you're done with that trade, you don't have to worry about it firing off another trade right away. And you can trade it more of as a discretionary tool that way, which again is really cool. Can you enter a trade manually to get in early with the moving averages? Yeah, I mean, you don't have to, and that would be a good use for the semi-auto. Like, let's say you don't want to get in right away. You want to kind of watch and see what it's doing at the level first. Is it respecting the level? Maybe you want to trade it with confirmation and you want to see the markets coming in, responding, coming back in, and you'll take it the second touch. You could do that too, where you don't even engage it until after you see the confirmation, then you engage it, and then it takes the trade, which you could certainly do. You would just need to leave the zone filtering off. In other words, you would not set a requirement that it moves, so much distance away from the zone before trading it, right? And you would just need to keep that off if you did it that way. Yeah, this is built for NinjaTrader 8 only. Just to be clear, if the algo didn't start a trade, it was a trade I opened and closed. If you, yeah, I'm not sure what the question is regarding that, but you can, yeah, either way, you would still need to re-engage the algo because you won't get the zones without it. How long will the algo work? As long as you want it to. So please backtest using tick replay. That's not going to be advisable with this algo. And we'll dive into that a little bit here because I know there's usually questions around that. So some examples of the hedge that Dean mentioned, that Sean mentioned, I assume. Not yet because we haven't built the settings yet. But the idea would be that you would be trading, obviously if you're trading the same instrument, you'd need to trade them on different accounts, right? Can we limit the number of maximum trades can be opened simultaneously? No, because you can't trade the same instrument on the same account, right? On two different trades. Like obviously that doesn't work. But that would be something that you would maybe need to set within your brokerage. I know Rhythmic might give you that capability. Some of the I don't know if some of the other brokerages allow you to do that, but a lot of questions coming in. So yeah, we'll just go through these and then we'll keep moving forward. Clicking stop loss ticks increases the value. How to make it decrease? You could use the scroll on your mouse and scroll down and that'll decrease it. Average stops 3-minute. Yes. And Q stops. Not sure. Yeah. No idea. You'd have to optimize it. Not sure. The range for 1 minute on ES is like 8 to 10 and Q is usually 40 to 50. Who do you contact for tech support? You just send a message to support@nstradingacademy.com. Does this break Apex's no algo rule? Great question, Samuel. No, it does not, because it is a semi-auto discretionary tool. It's not a black box. You don't set it and forget it. You are and let me be clear on this. You are 100% in control of whatever settings you choose to deploy. That is 100% up to you as a trader. So because of that, you can trade this with Apex or any other prop firm. As far as we know, there wouldn't be any exclusions on it because you're the one that controls the algo. You turn it on, you turn it off, you tell it where to trade, when to trade, how much to trade, how many ticks to trade. You are in complete control. Yeah. We don't do payment options. Sorry. Not going to happen, especially not when it's half off. Sorry. Try PayPal. PayPal sometimes does payments. That could be a good option for you. So money management is built in. So if you wanted to stop trading when you get to $500 in profit, set it. And then the algo will be done. Really cool. Order volume data to calculate zones. Example, high, low volume zones. No, it's 100% based on market structure and Fibonacci confluence. So it has nothing to do with order volume. Has everything to do with, range, price, and distance and price action. So no, orders have no factor in it. It doesn't matter if it's high volume, low volume. You have a supply zone, demand zone. It's completely different. Yeah. Does the algo automatically pick time in long trends? No, is the short answer, but maybe, yeah, maybe there's more to that question. So let me know if I'm misunderstanding. Let's see. So yeah, so you could set it to, max gain, max loss. You could set it to max retreat. So if if you are up $500 and you say, I don't want to give back more than half of that when I'm up $500, then you set it that way. And what'll happen is it'll auto close all your positions. Well, your position, in that scenario. So that's optimizable too. So you can set it based on, is it better if I stop trading when I'm get to 400, 500, 600? You can do a, back test on that too. And of course you saw the back testing, forward testing, you saw some of the details there. So let's go into the tool and let's go check it out, shall we? What are blue bars indicating? Well, let's go check it out. So here's the settings that I think Sean posted. Whoops, clear this out. Yeah, thanks, Jeff, for posting that. Let's see here, 77, 75, profit factor. This was the one that I grabbed from the Discord. Bar period. Okay, so let's go through some of this stuff. Let me just get a look at these settings here real quick. ES 5000. Cool. Yeah. Fine and dandy. All right, so this is just on ES. It's on a 5,000 volume. Let me just pull it up on the actual chart, and then we'll get it set up that way. Let me get it going here. And then we'll go through and look at the settings and what they do and how they work. We'll cover that. And then we'll go over some things that you might want to optimize and things you probably don't want to optimize. I think that's important to go through those, because knowing how to spend your time is, that's always going to be good. You don't want to optimize everything under the sun, because you'll be at it all day, and then you're just going to have settings that are way too curve fit, and they work great for a day and then they don't work anymore. You don't want that, obviously. So we'll help you understand, what do you optimize, what do you not optimize, and so on. Long and short. Okay, cool. Let me load this up here. And then there was another setting here. It looks to be pretty comparable. I think these were the settings I might have had originally, Jeff. Oh no, this is going through the 27th too. All right, let me load enough days of data so that we can look at this here. Let's see. Are the settings that are included in the original templates downloaded from the, yes. Yeah, these are the Discord settings. I just pulled them from Discord. Yeah, this looks like it. I don't know what's taking so long, but we'll give it a minute to do its thing and catch its breath, and then we'll go through it. Yeah, maybe we froze it up. I don't know.
How many days are you loading on this?
I didn't even change anything. That's the thing. I just clicked the other box. I'm just going to close that out. Whatever. All right, here we go. So here's the chart. So let's go through it and go through what it's doing here. All right. So when we look at this, we've got a decent trade opportunity. Didn't work out. We're going to just look at a little bit of everything here. Nice trade here, short. This one, stop. Let's go back another day. Let's zoom out a little bit. So we can see when these zones are created, right? We see that this is originally a resistance zone and then becomes a support zone. Once it gets far enough away and breaks through, then it becomes a support zone. Yeah, you could certainly use it for stocks, futures, anything. Yeah, anything. 3-minute chart. Are you getting some fibs higher? This is based on a 15-minute chart, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, you can use this on any instrument. And then we see the zone that once we get below price again, it flips back to resistance and we get a couple really nice trades off of that zone. Let's go into it. All right, so here we can see we came in, got support. And see, this is a good example where this zone had been tested twice, so you might not want to trade it there because that's already been tested a couple times, and then it breaks through, comes all the way down, comes down far enough that when it comes back in, you get a really great trade as a short because obviously support becomes resistance, and so you get a great trade opportunity there. And then coming down here, a nice opportunity for short, just didn't work, and it is what it is. Breaks through, comes back to resistance, and then in this case we get 2 bounces off of it, really nice trades, and then a support here. Notice how this did not trigger and this one did. So let's go in and take a look at that. So first question, did it touch? Yes. Second question would have to do with filters, whether they be momentum filters, so on and so forth. And in this case, in fact, we just do that. That's fine. This one looks like it might have been a momentum filter because momentum here had not been, the histogram was not above 0 yet, but here it was. So that would be in the settings. And so as you're looking at deploying this, let's say you're trading a different market and you want to, format it based on what you're trading. We can go through and kind of get you a starting point for some of the stuff that you're looking at and so on. That's totally fine. That's what the AMAs are for, is to go deeper into the functionality of it. So let's go through the settings. First off, you can set it to long and short, long, off, intra-session. So, as you're trading it, if you flip your bias, let's say you're looking at it and you're like, clearly we're down, and then we pulled back up, and then we get down here, and maybe at this point you're saying, okay, the market's double bottomed here. I really want to look at going long here because I feel like there's a good opportunity. And then you just switch it. Yeah. So. Yeah, great question. John asked if, let me go ahead and call this one out because I think this will be a great question that you guys want to know. So he was asking, price is $7.48 on sale. Yeah. Which actually, let's pull it up and I'll give you the link again, just so that you have it now, and I'll give it to you at the end again. Let's go shop. Yeah, so John had asked, I assume that it can only, calculate based on the days that are loaded on the chart. But actually it will load, it'll load back to 300 days just to calculate based on what you're trading today, which is a huge advantage. So it doesn't matter how many days of data you have loaded on your chart. The zones are going to be based on that historical data that you tell the system to look back, which is really, really cool. So yeah, pretty amazing. Cool. All right, let's go settings. So we've got, you could change that here, and then let's go in here and we'll talk about what some of these things do. So let me do it this way. I I don't know. I don't know which setting it is. I just pulled up the setting and threw it on the chart and said, okay, let's do this. Because the chart, I'm more looking at, settings for the sake of that. All right, cool. So now we can see the settings. This will make it easier for us. Let's just throw this here. Bar period for minute bars. So this is telling the system, what chart do you want to optimize based on? Do you want to optimize based on a 1 minute chart, 5 minute chart, 15, 30, 60, 4 hour, whatever you want to use anytime? You just put that time there. Okay. So it does have to be minute bars for the analysis. Fibonacci swing time frame. You've got a number of different options. Small, smallest, default, increase, large, large. So I would just say leave it set to default. This is one of those that you might not want to go down the rabbit hole, right? Something like, and here, let's start a notepad. Things you might want to optimize. So this bar period. You probably want to optimize it to some degree, but you're probably going to want to start with your preferred chart. And I would go with the higher time frame based on your chart. So here's an example. Let's say, how many of you trade a 1 minute chart? Anybody here trading a 1 minute chart? Yeah. So anybody who's using a 1 minute chart, you might decide that 5 minute is your higher time frame that you're using for the strategy, right? Because that's a higher time frame multiple of 5. Now, if you're on a 3 minute chart, then you'd be using a 15 minute. If you're on a 5 minute chart, you'd be using a 30 minute. Now, you can use any time frame you want. I'm not telling you this is any tried or true rule, but it's a good starting point. It's a good starting point of where you might want to start with. And then if you want to optimize it, you can look to optimize a bit. Don't go crazy. Don't go nuts trying to I'm going to trade it on an 8 minute chart. Like, really? I don't know. I don't know that you need to do all that. So yeah, grid strength. This is a good one, strong or weak. How strong do you want your grid to be? So I would say in this case, probably just leave it to strong, because the stronger the level, the better the trade, right? I mean, there's other ways that you can filter and factor. If you want more zones, less zones, stronger zones, weaker zones, so on. Threshold for confluence lines. There again, this is the kind of stuff that I don't really look to optimize. Jeff, if you see anything that's yeah, definitely optimize that, feel free to jump in, but I'm going to say probably just leave it alone.
Yeah, no, on the threshold, definitely leave it at 100.
See,
if you make that a bigger number, you're just going to take less trades, and it's already optimized for, there was a lot that went into that algorithm. So that's not one you want to optimize. I would leave the grid strength to strong. And as far as the first one, the default versus, the Fibonacci swing time frame, default is really the sweet spot. Yeah. If you go smallest, if you show the options that are available for that, so smallest will give you the most lines, fib lines. Yeah. Largest will give you the fewest fib lines.
Yeah, let's put that in here on our.
And so, but we definitely recommend just starting with default, and only if you don't like what you see, start playing with it. There's other things that are probably more important to optimize. That's how I would put it.
Yeah. No, I think so. Small, default, large, and so on. Cool. So that gives you some ideas, and that's a good way that if you want more zones, less zones, so on, that's a good way to do it. The Fibonacci levels cannot be optimized, nor would you want to. It's just adding too much chaos to a tool that already works really, really well. So it's just not necessary. And then zone entry. So do you want to enter at the edge? Do you want to enter at the midpoint? Do you want to enter at a fib level, which is just the actual level itself? Manual is going to be in the downloads in the manuals. And then, okay, so this is where we start to maybe look to optimize some things. I would say as a starting point, start with zone edge. Maybe start with the edge. And then if you decide that you want to optimize because you're seeing, here's what I would do, trade it based on the edge. Then if you see that, well, a lot of these are taking on heat, then go in and look at, well, maybe I want to enter on the mid zone. But bear in mind that when you move your trade to the mid zone, your stop moves too. So you're going to have to factor that in. Like if you want to use the same stop, but trade at the mid zone and trade a bigger R multiple, then look to do that, and just recognize that if you don't do that, your stop's going to be big, the same size. It's going to, be higher up or lower for that matter. Zone size. This is a good one that you might look to optimize. Zone size. You can use ticks and you can use ATR, whatever works for you. If you're on ES and you're trading a 1 minute chart, your zone size is probably going to be different. It's definitely going to be different than somebody who's trading a NASDAQ 5 minute chart. Like obviously those zones are going to be different. So you can use ATR if you want to make it simple on yourself. And, you just say, I'd just rather just use ATR. And then that way you can apply that toward any instrument or whatever, maybe you're working on multiple instruments, do it that way, maybe. So cool. So that covers us there. Zone size.
Can I add something about the
Yeah,
zone
of course.
edge?
Yeah. Jump in.
So, the zone edge on an 8-tick buffer zone is the same as the midpoint of the zone on a 16-tick buffer zone.
Yes.
So, it's really just added in as an extra feature. But if you want to control how far from the fib level you want to enter, you could do it by just leaving it at zone edge and just changing the buffer size, the zone size.
Yeah, that's a great point. That'll make
yeah,
your life simpler, huh?
that's just
Because
one
then you
less
only
thing to
optimize one
optimize.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a better way to skin the cat. Not that you're into skinning cats, but if you were,
I'm more of a dog person.
You like skinning dogs more? Just kidding. We're joking, people. We don't skin cats and dogs. Don't worry. No animals were harmed in the making of the AutoFib and Algo. All right.
Love dogs. I love dogs.
All right. So level break threshold and break threshold ticks. I'm going to let you cover that one because I'm not intimately familiar with that one, Jeff. So if you could touch on what these do, that'd be great.
Okay, so what happens is the only buffer zones that are on your chart are the ones immediately above and below, for the fib line that's immediate above and below. But at a certain point, price trades through that level. Well, we don't want it to flip to the next set below or the next set above once it trades through it by 1 tick, because then what happens is it's trading back up and down right around at the fib level, and you're getting the zones flipping up and down like constantly. So you just want to specify how far does it have to trade through the fib line before that zone is considered broken. So that's what the level break threshold is. And there's 2 methods. There's just simply a number of ticks. But the other, well, there's 3 methods, I think. Can you show the options for level break thresh type? So tick means just how many ticks does it have to trade through the fib level to be considered broken. The second is to use an ATR, which is obvious. It's just basically using the chart ATR as the distance that it has to break, travel through it. The third one, we added zone size multiple. So if you want to optimize 2 things, both the zone size and how much it has to break the zone to be broken, then the reason we added zone size multiple was so that you could just make it a multiple of the zone size, in terms of how far it has to trade through to break. That way you can save and do, you can optimize using less iterations. That's why we added that.
That's really cool.
So let's say you want to, have the zone at 8 ticks, but you want it to break, travel through that fib level by 16 ticks before it's considered broken, then you would set zone size multiple to 2. You know what I mean? So it would just be a multiple of the zone size.
Yeah.
And that way you can optimize different break amounts simply by optimizing only on the zone size.
Yeah,
Does that
that
make
is really
sense?
cool. Yeah. Yeah, because then you're only optimizing one factor. You know, if your zone size is 2, and then you just optimize for the zone size. And that's great. And then you just, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It's really cool. Good stuff. Max bars outside entry before trade. Max bars since zone formation. These two, I assume, will go kind of hand in hand as well, Jeff, that if you set max bars outside, then, you know, if they're both 3, then either way, it's going to be the same, right?
Well, okay. So let's take the first one. Let's take them one by one.
Yep.
The first one, you know, like let's say that the price is kind of hugging the zone edge. Well, we kind of want a little bit of a separation and then come back into the zone to take the trade. Because let's say you have your, you know, number of trades per zone at 5 or something. And you know, price is just kind of hugging along that zone edge, you're going to get a trade like every bar, every 2 bars or something. It just you want to have a clear moving away from that level back into it to take a trade. So the bars outside the entry level simply means, you know, how many bars before the signal bar, the bar that touches the level, how many bars before that are outside of that level. 3 means there's 3 bars before the bar that triggers the trade have to be outside of that. I'm not going to say zone, because if we're trading the midpoint, it's not the zone, it's that dotted line. So that's bars outside of the level before the trade. The other one is, as soon as you see these zones, they start at a certain point and then they end. So the second one there, the minimum bars since zone formation, just means how many bars are you waiting before, you know, from the time that zone starts before you're allowed to take a trade. And so, you know, a lot of times you'll see a level be broken and then come back into, you know, like that's when broken support becomes resistance, and it trades through it and it comes right back in to test that level again. Well, if you have it set to like 10 bars, you know, you might miss that trade. So, you know, usually you probably want it to be a fairly small number, but it just allows you to specify a certain number of bars after the zone starts before you start trading it.
Yep. Zone minimum.
Those are the difference between those two.
Zone. Yeah, so that would be those would be some good things that you'd probably want to optimize those once, right? Like the level break, the bars outside, the zone, you know, bars since zone formed, you know, bars after zone formed. These are going to be kind of like your one-time optimized. Once you optimize this based on what you're trading, you're probably not going to optimize it regularly. You might optimize it like once a month, once every couple months or something. You're probably not going to optimize those very often, right? Because once you've got it kind of dialed in the way you want it, then there's no sense in going nuts on everything at the same time all the time. Yeah, and then a reset entry count on zone shift. So that would be like if we go from resistance to support to resistance, do you reset the entry bars, the entry count? That would reset that for you. So very cool. The rest of it, you're pretty familiar with the brains of the algo at this point. We've got a number of them. If you're not, then check out the recent you know, boot camp that we did, where we kind of go over more details on that. Invalid trade windows. This is where you know, this is a new thing. You can call this, you know, market open, for example. And you can enable this. And we're going to say we don't want to trade from 920 to 940. We're going to exclude that window because that's market open, okay, on the equities. What if you're trading crude oil and you know at 10:30 Wednesdays, you've got crude oil inventory. So you don't even want to trade it from 10:20 to 10:40 any day. You could just do this on you could have a Wednesday, you know, template that you only put on Wednesdays, and then you just run, that's the one that has the blocker because you know that crude oil inventory is coming. And then you have a Thursday template because you know, okay, there was a holiday this week, and so it's actually on Thursday this time. So you run that template. Otherwise, you just run the same template. So you can really play with that as well. But that is going to tell the system, don't trade from 1020 to 1040. Very cool. If you want to go in at the beginning of the day, every day, and you want to look at your news and you want to say, okay, today we've got crude oil inventory, but then we've also got a release at 8:30. And so I don't want to trade from 8:25 to 8:40. And you would enable that one. And you can just do this every day. You just pull up your settings and then you just go in and block off the times that you know have news releases. So really cool. Of course, money management. It seems, I know there's a lot going on, but once you got it dialed in, it's really, we want to give the opportunity to optimize things, but just because they're optimizable doesn't mean you have to go and optimize them all the time, right? So yeah, simpler is better for sure, but we're just tell you everything it does so that you know, and you can decide what you want to do with it. Limit trades in one direction. This is kind of cool too, because if you take a short here, then you're not going to take another short. You're going to wait till it comes down into here, or maybe it goes up and then you take the long. And so, so yeah, that's pretty cool. How many days for look back? The default is set to 300 days look back. So, and you can set it, and it's not the Ninja Trader look back. This is different. You just leave that one alone. And then you're going to look at going back 300 days. And that's something you're probably not going to optimize much. Yeah. Signals could be a little different, MES versus ES. Yeah. Yeah. Might be just different enough to throw a different level or something. Possible. Moving average filter. There again, you know, if you want to have a single or a double, let's say you only want to trade when on the 5-minute chart, the 9 is above or below the 20. So you can do that. Really cool. Let's say you only want to trade with market structure and you want your swing strength to be 5. I don't know. Let's do 3. 3 is kind of easier. Show the zigzag. And then, of course, your momentum, the EMA crossover. Then you are set your fast and your slow for your EMA crossover. Really, I mean, like we talked about, sky's the limit on how you want to do this. So cool. Let's go ahead and answer some questions. I see some questions coming in, so let's go through some of these. It looks like Jeff's getting most of you covered here, but we'll pull it up and take a look. Look back, data series. No, your data series does not need to match. So let's go into this. So let's take a look. So here I have 10 days loaded, but this is going back 300 days to plot the level. Yeah, which is great too, because then you can optimize it. If you really want to, though, I'd probably just leave it set to 300. So very cool. So trial expired. That's really weird, Gabe. Send a message to support. We'll get you covered. I don't know what that's all about. You're using it on Ninja Trader, right? Not TradeStation or something else? Because not that you could use it on TradeStation, but yeah, send a message to support. I don't know what that's all about. All right, so blue zones equals support. Red zones equals resistance. There you go. How many of you guys want to start? We've got some time. You know, we've spent about an hour. We've still got time. It's no immediate rush. How many of you guys want to maybe look at some different markets? Want to start to look at the chart? I'm not gonna optimize settings and all that, and worry about whether it's profitable or not just yet. But I want to at least look at the chart and let's just see maybe some starting points of where you might look to optimize. Right? We did this in the boot camp, and I felt like that was a good fun thing that we did. I'm going to kind of sidestep here for a second, and I want to show you guys something. Jeff was not impressed at all, by the way, by this, but Jeff's he's a tough critic. I mean, this guy, he breathes excellence, it's like everything he does is like, wow, what the heck. So it's not that impressive, but it's a cool tool, and I'll show you anyway. Let's see.
What are you talking about?
I'll show you. This guy, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
He's like, I mean, it's not that great, but it's fine. I'm putting words in his mouth. I'm just messing with him. All right. Let's see. I'm going to answer some questions while we're at it here too. But so what this is, we're building this. Okay, it's not done yet, but we talked about this in our boot camp of having some idea of what do you test and what do you not test? Like, here's all the settings for this particular algo, everything, so that you can look at, well, you might want to test some of these that are in yellow. You might want to test those. You might want to optimize them. The other stuff, you probably don't want to optimize. So just leave it alone. This might be one that you might want to optimize. So we'll add this one, right? But anyway, so these are potentials. And then what you can do is you can make a copy of it too, obviously. And you can make it so that whatever your range is that you're optimizing, let's say for this particular setting, we have a range of 3 to 10 that we want to optimize. And so we just put this here as a reference and then put multiplier. And then we can put the default in there as well as this is usually what the number comes back as. It usually comes back as a 5. Every once in a while, it might be a 4 or a 6 or something. But we're building this out for every algo. It's going to be a continuous work in progress because optimization is a bit of an art form, not a science. And so we'll continue to build on this, but this is something that we'll build for every algo. We're in the process of this project now. I've got somebody from the trading community helping me put it all together. And so, yeah, so we'll provide this to everybody once it's ready to go. And then you can refer back to this to go, okay, I'll optimize these 3 things and don't optimize everything. It's going to save you time. It's going to make you more effective in your testing. What do you guys think? Cool? Hate it? Love it? If you hate it, Jeff built it. If you love it, I built it. Okay.
This is awesome, Jim.
You do think so? Okay. Well,
yeah, it's great.
All right. Thank you. No, it's a utility. It's something that I think would benefit the community, and then we talked about it. So this is kind of the starting point. And look, guys, if you have ideas, send them to me. I have 20 billion things going on. Jeff has 30 billion things going on, and there's some stuff that we don't catch everything because we're just go all the time. So if you think of something really cool as you're using a tool, or you're thinking, I think this might be cool for, the community, send it to us. We always take those as feedback. So, all right. So we've got a question. Well, let's answer some questions and we'll go through some stuff. You guys ever thought about putting in the ability to pick days of the week? We haven't. I don't know. That would, kind of, I assume you're kind of thinking along the lines of time blockers, like don't trade Wednesdays at 10:30, but you can trade Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I don't know. At some point, it's it just gets more complicated. You know what I mean? There's a net cost benefit consideration, right? Is it worth the time and effort to do it? And is the benefit significant enough for us to, put all that time in to create something? You know what I mean? Sometimes the answer's probably not. And sometimes it is, yeah, absolutely. Let's see what we can do. So we'll take that feedback and I'll let Jeff run with that with the guys. The boot camp video, let me show you real quick, and then we'll do settings and stuff. So if you go to the NeuroStreet YouTube, so just go to YouTube, type in NeuroStreet Trading Academy. You'll find our channel, and it's these 3. Some of them we did, specific algos. So Yeah, check it out. Pretty cool. Can we use this on Apex? Yes, you absolutely can. Because you're in control of the algo, off, on, long, short, you're creating the settings. It's your settings, not ours. It's whatever you choose to deploy. That's entirely up to you. So because of that, you can absolutely use it. Yeah, it's not a black box, so you're fine. Let's see what else. Definitely not doing bonds. Sorry. Can you share the template? Yes, of course. They're in Discord, MJ. You can find them in Discord. And then once we finish them, yes, absolutely. I'll post them in Discord.
They're also on the download page.
Yeah.
I mean, the two that we put
Two
out
that
with
we've
the
done,
launch.
yeah. Is this guide completed? No, not yet. Not yet. It's still pretty new, so we just gotta touch it, feel it, use it, have traders touch it, feel it, use it, so on. Great, needs to be done last week. Yeah. NQ, the days of the week. Yeah, multiple templates is easier than paying the team thousands of dollars to program it in, but it's not off the table. But I'm just saying, I'm no promises, but we'll definitely
I added
review
it to the wish list just so that we keep track of.
Cool. Yeah,
We
you can
have a
review it.
million, requests that come in, and it's really a
Yeah.
trade-off. I mean, we like to add features, but remember, there's already a ton of features, and
Yeah.
it's just the code is getting more and more complex. And at some point, we need to stabilize the engine so that we can deploy it across previous algos. And we can't do that if we keep changing. It's like a moving target. So, it's a trade-off. We do the best we can, but if there's
Yeah.
something really, I think the things we added for this one were very useful, and that's
Yeah.
why we added them.
Absolutely.
There's things that, well, we have to look at that trade-off. So,
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Can you review the lines on the graph at the button? This button?
he's saying at the
Or
bottom.
maybe
I
at the
think he's saying the
bottom?
sub panel. I think he's what he's saying.
Yeah, okay, sure. So these are the momentum. This is the momentum indicator that is built into the algo. What's happening here is think of it like a really souped up MACD. And that's really what we've got going on here. We've got a histogram that when it's above or below 0, think of that like your fast, and then the BBs would be your slow. And so when these are both below 0, that is to say that you have confluence in momentum. So yeah. So that's what those are doing. And then now we've got the EMAs built in that if you want to just trade, once these cross over, that'll give you a quicker analysis, which I think is a really killer addition. So cool. Yeah, let's go to, let's see, AutoFib in the workspace. I don't know support on that one. Yeah. So this one is fully automated. So our golden fibs is not automated, and it also doesn't do buffer zones. There's a bunch of things that this does that one doesn't. And then obviously you've got the, you've got the momentum indicator built in as well. Yeah, EMA's cross. You can use it on the momentum, or you can use it on the chart itself, which is pretty slick. So let's do NASDAQ. Actually, no, let's do crude oil. We're going to do crude oil, and we're going to come up with some settings. And the first thing I'm going to do is just pull up the chart, put it on the chart, and just look at it. And that'll give us a good idea of starting point. So let's do that. So let's go here. This setting isn't, no, but I'll probably start with it as a 1-to-1. Let's go futures, crude oil. I probably should have deactivated the algo first, but okay. So let's go here and let's deactivate first, and then we'll update our chart. Cool. All right, let's just start with a 3-minute chart. 5 days is fine. Awesome. Okay, so since we're on a 3-minute, we're going to keep this to 15 minutes. That's a higher time frame. We're going to keep that as default. Strong, 100, max entries per zone. I'm just going to start with 3, so more is more. I'm going to trade at the zone edge. Zone, I'm going to go based on ATR because I'm using a minute chart. I'm going to keep the ATR set to 14 because it makes sense. Definitely not using 8 ATRs. I will probably use 1 to start, and we'll go from there. Level break. We will also do zone size multiple of 1. That way I don't have to optimize both of them. Why would I do that, right? So zone size multiple 1. Max bars outside before. I'm just going to keep that set to 0 and 0. And that doesn't matter. Okay. So really, like, that's about it. Anybody here in the gap program? Just hit 3 to 1 on platinum. So that was the stop was 3 to 1. So that's fantastic. I'll take it. All right. So market limit pre-order. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? How many times today I've said, man, I wish I was in that trade. I think that happened about on 5 of them. That was some obnoxious number of them. I was like, man, I should have taken that. Like pound dollar was amazing. And I just didn't take it because it was a pretty big move and I thought it was oversold. And anyway, that's another discussion. So that's our global assets prop program is what that is. Yeah. Profit target. So we're going to go profit target ATR. Like we're going to let the chart tell us what's going on, you know? Yeah, exactly. Better to wish you're in a trade than not. And then profit target ATR. Let's go 2 ATR, 2 bars. And then stop. Here, let's do it this way. Stop ATR. We'll just go 2. And then for this, we're going to go risk reward 1. 1 to 1. And we're going to go 5 a.m. to 3 o'clock. Not going to, well, here, let's do this. We'll block that 10:30 on every day just for the heck of it. Money management, don't care. Consecutive trades, not yet. Moving average. Yeah, I'm in Eastern time. Yeah. No, they are different than Gap. Yeah, this would be totally different. I'm going to show the EMAs, but I'm not going to use them just yet because my suspicion is that I will be trading more reversal based on CL versus trend based. So I'm just going to show them, but not use them.
Jim?
Yeah.
You probably want to change basis to primary. Right below EMA, right below double EMA, that. So change it to primary bars.
Yeah.
So that your EMAs are actually on the chart bars.
Oh, cool.
Based on the chart bars.
Yeah,
otherwise it'd be based on some higher time frame.
That's exactly what I want. Yep. Good call. All right. And we're going to show the zigzag. We're not going to require structure yet, but I do want to see it. Cool. And then VM, we are going to not require the crossover, but I'm going to show it just the same. 3 and 5, is that the kind of the standard there, Jeff? Is that the default?
Yeah, the original template that we got had 3 and 5. Cool. You know, what happens is things kind of adjust a little bit over time. And so the following week, we re-optimized and found, you know, some good results for 2 and 7. It's splitting hairs, but, yeah, you know, both are going to be, the thing you'll always find is that for that histogram crossover, you're going to want fairly small numbers for those two, you know, EMA periods. You're not going to want to go like big numbers. Yeah. 3, 5, something like that. Perfect.
Cool. All right. So now we've got this thing on our chart and let's go check it out. We're just going to go start to finish. Again, I'm not worried about profitability yet. I just want to see it. I just want to see what's happening here. Really a great trade opportunity. It was, you know, middle of the night kind of thing, 3 a.m. Here's where the market, we opened up our ability to trade at 5 o'clock. I love this. I mean, this is clearly responding to the area. So let's go in and look at it. I'm going to make this a little bigger too, so we can see what momentum's doing. So momentum is down, it's oversold. So do you want to only trade shorts here? I like this trade, so I would not use that as a filter on crude. Now on something like an NQ or something that's more trending, then yeah, absolutely use those filters to your advantage. But yeah, that's a nice little trade. As far as sizing, I think the sizing looks pretty good. A little bit of money left on the table, but not too bad. Great trade here. Same thing. Momentum's down. EMAs hadn't crossed yet, so it'd be counter directional. And in this case, we've traded this level twice. Third time didn't work. So that's a note that we make, right? Worked twice, didn't work a third time. This one took the short, but it hasn't come down below the bar, like below the zone. So we need to add a number of bars below that before we're going to try. So we'd probably add like a 3.
Yeah, because I think you have that at 0.
Yeah, I did.
So what's happening is, the minute it ticks out of that level and right back in, you're getting a trade. That's the reason for that setting.
Yeah.
So let it get away from that level before it comes back into it.
Bars, and then we need to add a 3. Add a 2x trade. All right. Now we just keep going forward. So now same thing happened here, right? It flipped and it traded and it flipped and it traded, and that's okay. I just need to see it to know. But then there's a great long opportunity that could have been right here. I don't know if it touched though. It didn't touch. Got close, but didn't quite make it. This one, is a nice trade, but it's not really lining up. Like it came out, yeah, and then it came right back in. And this is kind of more to me. It's like we got lucky. Let's call it what it is. This one, actually pretty decent trade for a trend trade. EMAs are up, but the crossover happened. So, and this is something where if you're trading it live and you're saying, well, the market's coming down, the EMAs are squeezing, the EMAs crossed over here, I'm just going to flip it off. I'm not flip it off, but I'm going to turn it off and I'll wait. I'll wait to trade it. And so now that you've come down, you might look to take a long here, counter directional, right? So, no, I think this looks pretty good. We just need to add a couple things. Let's look at another day just to be sure. So I'm assuming, Jeff, that when, like this one, it came in, right, like once, twice, 3 times. I'm assuming that it's based on when you allow it to start taking trades.
Yeah, those are before the start time, so it's not going to
trade. So it's not going to factor that in, huh? Okay, that answers that. This one again, lucky. It barely passed through and came back and touched and la-di-da. But this one's great. And this one would have been good too, because it had enough distance and it came back in, and there you go. Looks good. This would have been really a third trade if we traded this one. So maybe we wouldn't take that one. This looks good. Okay, I think we're on to something here, people. Let's go back in and update some things. I feel like going through this together to where you can see it and do it together. I feel like this is a really great exercise on how to make this work for your market, because not everybody's going to trade just the ES, right? So grid strength strong, max entries per zone. Let's do 2. Zone edge is fine. The size of the zone looks great. Level break threshold. We're going to go, it needs to break by, oh yeah, we had a zone size multiple 1. And then that's fine. Max bars outside. Let's go 3. And since formation, I'll just do that as 3 as well. I like to optimize once a week. Yeah, once a week. That's just my preference. You got to do what works for you. I like to look at 3 to 4 weeks of data, depending on how many trades you have. Optimize once a week. Reset.
Hey, Jim, I don't think we touched on that reset entry count, did we? I usually have
Briefly.
that on.
Briefly.
I usually have that on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's probably better to be on. Or else you won't get very many trades.
Right. Yeah, we'll do that. And then as far as the sizing, I thought the zone size or the trade size looked pretty good too. So let's go ahead and turn this back on, see what it looks like, and then we can start maybe looking at optimizing a couple things. Okay. This is set to 1 contract too, by the way. So let's see. Well, I mean, what was the performance? Easier to see it if we just pull up the graph. So 1.24, not stellar, not terrible. It's, it's fine. Let's go check out the chart. It's a good starting point. Good trade, definitely. This one a little fast, but it works. That one works. And then we skipped that one, got that one. That looks good. And then stop outs must have been on this day. Good trade, second round. Skipped it. I don't hate that trade. I think that's fine. It's just a stop out is what it is. Same thing here. This is the one that we looked at. If you're trading discretionally, you might not have traded it, but from an algo perspective, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Almost got stopped out on this one, but we didn't. So that's cool.
Yeah, it is.
This one looks fine. And then this one, a little bit of a tough trade. I mean, this is just kind of how it played out that day. Let's go in and do a back test and see what we come up with. Strategy analyzer. Here we go. Yeah, sorry. These red dots above and the green dots below are stops and targets. So that's the stop, and then that's the target. And then these are the slow average. All right, let's go. Oops. Let's go here. I'm just going to use this as a starting point. All right. And so let's kind of figure what we were doing here. So we had 15. We had Fibonacci strength was set to default, strong, 100, max entries 2, 300, zone edge, ATR set to 1, zone size multiple 1, max bars 3 and 3. ATR stop. I'm going to bump this out for this purpose to 2. And then risk reward will go 1 to 1. Because I want to size the trades first. 1,500. All right, and what I want to do on this one is I want to use a higher time frame moving average. Actually, let's do double. And we'll go 25, 50. This might filter it out too much. We'll have to see. I want to show the zigzag. Cool. And then let's go crude. Minutes. And I always like to do as a starting point, you can do a bigger back test when you're first optimizing for the first time. Let's just go back to last Friday and let's go back 4 weeks. 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So we'll do that. And let's just run it, see what our starting point is.
That was ending like 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
821. Maybe. Did I do that wrong?
You did September 15th, ending at September 15th.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I mean, it's more than a week, but
no, that's right. Yeah, that's whatever. 4 weeks. Yeah. So 1.5. Decent starting point. We got decent equity curve. It kind of fizzled out a little bit here more recently. And so, yeah, I think this is a good starting point to start to optimize. You can go in. Let's see what it looks like if we go to smaller. Actually, here, before we do that, let's turn off the EMAs and see if that hurts us, helps us. What does it do? Yeah, absolutely. You could trade the fib algo on gap levels. Absolutely. You would just turn it off if it came into an area, and you'd use a really small time frame or something to trigger the trades. Okay, so definitely improved things to have it on the right side of the big picture. So we would keep that on. And then let's look and see, does it help us to have structure on? Just throw that in there and see. Obviously, we're kind of looking at profit factor because it is going to factor out some trades. But are those trades better? Yeah, no. That didn't help at all. So turn it off. That's terrible. What about this one? Let's turn it on. Yeah, no. What about if we did a little bit bigger? Let's go 3.9. Nope. So the thing of it, knowing your market is obviously important. Crude oil is a oscillating market. It's not designed to be trending. ES and Q, those are designed to trend. They're stock markets. They're equities. So knowing the market that you're dealing with is important. You know, in the case of crude oil, it might not be a small case, you know, small case trending might not work great for crude, but big picture might work excellent, right? So just knowing what you're dealing with. Let's go show zigzags, fine. And then the EMA's on is good. So the goal of the back test and the optimization is to get yourself a good starting point, something that you can rely on, something that's going to give you some decent trade results. The optimization is the purpose is to continue to give you good results because markets change, things update, right? So that's important to factor in, definitely. Let's go in and look at our time, because we haven't looked at that yet. So let's go in here, half hour of day based on entry. Okay, so really it's pre-market and post-market that this is working well. It's not working so great during the major market. So this becomes a template that you run pre-market and post-market. So what do? Well, we're going to turn it off from 7:30 to 11. We're just going to block the whole thing and set it as a pre and post-market. So It's not what we had intended, but hey, if that's what the market's going to give us, then let's just run with it. And then we'll expand it out to 3 o'clock. Let's see what that looks like. Which is super cool that we have the ability to block that, because we wouldn't have been able to do that on the other algos so far. Yeah, and over the course of 4 weeks, it's not a ton of trades, right? But this particular template, based on the time frames and everything going into it, that might be okay. And then if you're wanting more trades, I would go to a 1 minute chart with like a 5 or a 10-minute Fibonacci, and that's going to give you more trades, and then optimize it that way. Yeah, I mean, it would have absolutely only 310 in drawdown to make $3,600. That's pretty solid. So let's go in and look at it. Yeah, I mean, pretty solid. Let's go. Now this is a 2x ATR, by the way. So these are big trades. So let's go in and look at them, and also look and see, does it make sense to take smaller trades, right? So we'll go into the trades. And what I like to do here is look at max adverse, and I'm going to go set it to ticks so I can judge it by ticks. Max adverse. Really, I mean, 20 is probably a great cutoff, because the ones that went, a lot of these that went max adverse ended up just exiting, or, I mean, it really doesn't need to be that big. So that gives us an idea that if our largest trade is 31, let's try it at a 1.5 ATR and see what that looks like. And that might give us some better, quicker trades, more trades potentially. So yeah, absolutely. 10 to 12 ticks is a good number for crude. I've always liked the 15 to 20 on crude is a good number too. And we'll look at ticks as well. Platinum's moving back down. I exited. That's all right. Yeah, so that still looks good. Profit factor is a little bit, obviously the number is going to be smaller dollars wise, because we're trading smaller trades. But the profit factor came down a little bit too. So let's go look at it. I mean, tapered off a little bit here more recently. Not a whole lot of profit. Win percentage 50-50, so break even the last couple of days. And then, hey, 2 out of 3 is not bad. I don't know, maybe the losers were kind of big. Yeah, absolutely. You could look at trailing stops, that sort of thing, do multiple positions. Absolutely. Let's go in and check it out on the chart, see what it looks like. Pretty quick trade. Did we leave money on the table? Yeah. The stop was tight on this one, but it was good for that purpose. The reason these look like stepping averages, guys, is because it's a big chart. It's a big time frame chart. So bear in mind, this is 1 hour at a time. So it's not a stepping average so much as it's just, obviously that number is not going to change inside of the 1 hour bar. It updates on the end of that 60 minutes. But here you can see, like, let's look at the shorts, because we're, the EMAs are up. Are we getting good short opportunities? Yeah, we are. We can look at it without that and see. That's good. This one is stop was appropriate too. So I think the stop and target size is actually pretty solid. And then this one was a tough one because it just barely wicked the stop. No, I mean, I think trade size looks pretty good. All right, so let's go back and let's look at it without the EMAs again. Where'd they go? Structure, moving average, here we go. It's actually better with the higher time frame. Let's see if it's let's try the 30-minute too, just to see what that looks like. Yeah, 30 minutes still looks good too. What about 15 minutes? I think that was 15 minutes still looks pretty good. Not much different from the 30. What was this one? 33.40 was, I don't know if I could see it. There's so many settings.
It's towards the bottom, kind of.
Yeah, let's just do it this way. 33.60 was the best we had gotten, and it's the same number of trades pretty much. 3.41 profit. This was, let's see what these settings are. Back to the 60-minute. Let's run it. I just want to make sure this is the right one. Oh, is this ATR2? Yeah, that's why it's higher. ATR 2 to 1's giving us the best numbers. So, you know, I mean, something like that you can optimize and really get it dialed in. But this is a great template to start with. So let's save this. We'll just save it as crude starting point. And then, you know, you can go to town and optimize this based on how you see fit. But this is a good starting point for sure. Let's see what it would have done then moving forward. So we tested it through the 15th. It was a couple weeks ago, and that was by design. And let's go here. I meant to do it only 1 week ago, but that's fine. Yeah, so break it even. So it is a good starting point. Still needs some optimization, but at least it'll get you there. What did it do? That's not bad. But the recent week took on some losses. So that would be something that you'd want to really optimize more like through at this point, you just optimize it through this Friday. You know, you'd go in and go back 4 weeks and go here, run it, and then use this as your optimization so that you have something to run next week. So let's run it this way and see what it looks like. Maybe tweak a couple things and then we'll call it a day. Well, this is, oh, it's already done. Interesting. Decent, but definitely needs to be optimized. Let's save this again. Save starting point. I'd be curious what it looks like on the smaller trades. Let's go 1.5 and then I'm going to run a poll. If those of you who still have questions or need help, go ahead and check that box and we'll get you some help with whatever you might need. Yeah. I like to do once a week. Yeah, once a week optimization, even if it's no changes, at least look at optimizing so that you know if it needs it, you know. So yeah, a little more profit. I feel like the smaller trades are going to be a little bit more consistent and steady. I guess that's speculation to some degree, but let's turn off the time blocker and see what it looks like across, because this is a little bit different on the sizing. Yeah, Eric, I know you're always making money. Eric's killing it. Big money, still making that money. Now that's awesome. It is a great way to trade, isn't it? Absolutely. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, very cool. All right, let's go check out the times. Interesting. It shifted. Smaller trades were better after 10 to 2:30. It still doesn't like the open with this setting. So just go 10 o'clock. Block the lunch hour from 11 to 12:30. 11:30. Well, we only need to block an hour. So it'd be 11:30 to 12:30. Makes sense.
Yeah, you have to enable it.
Oh yeah, that would help. Cool. Yeah, this is the only algo that does the time blockers so far. Yeah. Can run multiple templates on the optimize, keep the settings, run reverse. Yeah. This one's pretty decent at 1-to-1, 63% win rate, 2-point profit factor, you know. Pretty decent starting point, and then you can go through and optimize some of these things that we talked about. So let's update this once more. Overwrite it. And cool. I think that's going to do it for us. Feel free to ask any questions. We'll leave this open for a few more minutes to answer questions. Yeah, I'll post this in Discord so you have it as a starting point. And then go to town, you know, just try different stuff and get it dialed in. So no, not necessarily, Doug, but send me an email if you'd like. I think there's been some traders that have been killing it with that one, so we'll get you in touch with them so they can help you figure that out. But send me an email anyway. Yeah, videos on optimization. Yes, what you want to do is go to the Neuro Street YouTube channel and watch the boot camp. That 3 days was entirely on optimization, pretty much. How much money do you need to start a trade? You can trade micros with Ninja Trader brokerage, starting at like $400 or $500. So I would just reach out there, or if you want to get funded with a prop firm, there's plenty of partners that we have that can help you get funded. Apex is running a deal right now, 90% off. Kind of hard to beat their price, so I would check them out. Apex.
I'm waiting for 100% off sale.
You'll be waiting for a while. Oh, that's awesome. Only 27 trades during that time frame. Interesting. All right, so let's go into optimization. I'm just curious. Yeah, here, I'll post the link. Hang on. %, yeah. At least. I mean, it's the least they can do. We could optimize this 2 to 3. I wouldn't do any more than that. Grid strength, you could optimize. Yeah, not that one. Sorry. Let's do this one. Default. You do large, small. Add a couple more. And then zone edge, we'll just keep that as ATR1. This you could optimize. I don't know how restrictive you'd want to be, but we'll just do 2 to 5 and leave that one alone. Trade size, I'd leave alone. Time, I'd leave it alone. This, I'm going to just go ahead and disable it so you can see all the times again. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. You just pay per trade on it with your settings, until you get at least a couple optimizations under your belt. And then, yeah, and then at that point, you can look to deploy it once you're comfortable with it. Yeah, using 4 different algos on 2 accounts. Cool. Yeah, great question. So William's asking, brand new to Algo, so wondering proper procedure to apply algos every day. Yeah, the best thing that and this is my opinion, but I think there's plenty of traders that would agree. The best way to run algos is to run multiple. Think of it as you're diversifying your portfolio. There are some algos that are going to make great money today, and there are other algos that are going to lose money today. And so you don't know which is which on which day because you don't have a crystal ball. So you run multiple algos, and if one algo makes no money today, but the other 3 do, then you're in the profit. So what I would say is, maybe pick one instrument for each and then run a couple, on one account, run a couple on the other, obviously with the different offsetting instruments. And yeah, go about it that way. That would be my take on it. Now, there's no rules behind it. You can kind of manage it however you see fit, but yeah, that would be a good way to do it. Find something that's really consistent on each one and just run it. And then just optimize them each week. So this thing is running. There it goes. Now it's gone. Yeah, what I'm optimizing here, we kind of started a list. Bar period, you really just go with what works as a starting point. I wouldn't optimize that necessarily, but this is kind of a good, basis. I would optimize these small, default, large, fib, zone, edge, zone size, maybe. And then some of these others, it's really the stuff that's in the, in the main, like I would go through, there we go. Let's go up here. So, some of these things, the strategy settings, you can optimize some of those. And then on the rest of it, you're just looking at filters. And I didn't do a lot of trend filters on crude because crude's not really a trending market. We just did the higher time frame. And the results are okay. We're at 1.57. It's not great. Seems to be the most profit. filtering some stuff out. Yeah, 1-to-1. 440, so that's kind of figuring 40 ticks, which might actually be kind of big still for crude. You might be better off, looking at it as a 1x ATR and maybe messing with the risk reward ratios and so on. But anyway, just to give you an idea of, how to go about it for NASDAQ, for those of you that are interested in trading NASDAQ, I would say use a lot of those trending filters. Structure, definitely. The moving average on the crossover on the momentum, I would definitely consider that one. And then the moving average itself on the chart itself, I would look at using those. Yeah, I think you could probably get some really stellar. I've seen this tool work great on NQ in general. So, the fact that you can optimize everything, it's a game changer. I mean, you can really do some really cool stuff with it. So, yeah. Forex, sure. Yeah, you could trade it on Forex. Absolutely. I would think it would do pretty well on Forex, really. I would use a higher time frame, at least a 5-minute chart, but yeah, most definitely. And I'll take a look at it. I mean, I think, the best thing that we've come up with so far was still this right here, which is, like we started out, we just went in, looked at the chart. What does it look like? Okay, let's base it on that. And we got that pre-market, post-market, looked really good. So is it only for high volume? That has nothing to do with volume. Yeah. You can trade it on anything. So cool. Well, that's all the time we have. If you have questions, let me know. And we've got a couple really great settings on Forex, or I mean on sorry, not Forex, on ES to get you started. So run with those. And then if you decide, you want to check it out on NASDAQ, that gives you time to put those together. We'll go back into those settings one more time, and I want to pull those up just to show these settings are solid on ES. We just spent just a little bit of time kind of getting a starting point for crude, but the team has already optimized ES and it's good to go for you. So I know one of the traders chimed in and said they made some money on ES today. So that's awesome. Wrong algo. AutoFib. And this is the one that I originally had, and the thing that I loved about it, let's get it set for ES, 5,000 volume. Cool. So we ran it through the 18th and we got some really great numbers, right? Everything looked awesome. And then when you run it forward, you go to the 21st and run it forward. And I think lately, the last couple of days maybe hasn't been as fantastic. We'll check, see what it looks like. But that's 821, not 921. We're going to be here a while. Sorry. Yeah, anytime you can get back tested settings that work well moving forward as well, then you're onto something. I don't know that there's a whole lot going on in the market right now to run them live. It's Friday afternoon. Everybody's done for the week. I do not have anything starting point for NQ, but if I have some time, I'll tinker with it a little bit. I would say, just kind of, yeah, I mean, I would say run with it. I think there's some strong opportunities on NQ for sure. Yeah, RTY, same. Yeah. So ES is a big market, takes a while to run this back test. So that's what I get for having the wrong date in there. Well, you guys already saw the test, so We're good. Here it comes now. Yeah. I mean, this is over the course of a little over a month, and you've got 5,900 in profit with a drawdown of 1,000. And the trade size is 325 max losing trade. So it's right in line with what most traders are doing, either on the evals or whatever. This is a full size, just trading, I assume just trading one contract. Yep. So one contract. These are already optimized. So this is good to go. I mean, I think, yeah, a little bit of a dip over the last couple of days, but it's to be expected. You're obviously going to have drawdowns here and there. It looks like there's only been a couple losing days on this. 3, 4, 5, 6. So out of all the days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 losing days compared to 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I don't know. It looks like roughly about 20. So, yeah, pretty solid if you ask me. I mean, if your trade log looked like that, you'd probably be okay with that, right? Nothing wrong with that. That's a good looking curve. So, yeah, so get your hands on it, run with it. I think there's massive potential on really all the markets, but especially on NQ. Yeah, a lot of opportunity with this one. So get your hands on it. If you have questions, I'll reach out. I think a few of you said you still had questions. So let me type my email in the chat box too. Feel free to reach out to me. Happy to help. So that's about it, folks. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it as always, and glad to have you and spend time with you. And we really appreciate you being here. So if there's anything else we can answer for you, send us a message. Otherwise, enjoy the algo, and we'll see you in the threads and Discord. Make sure to post your success with it, questions, all of that. Be sure to jump into the AutoFibs algo thread and check it out.
Good session, Jim.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, thanks for being with us. Everybody, thanks so much for being here. I don't know if they announced who won. Did you see somebody won the free license? I didn't see. I don't see anything. Check the email. If you don't have Discord, just go to our website. I'll show you real quick. Go to NeuroStreet. Go to Community. And then go to Join Discord. And just click that. It'll take you right to our threads, right to our server or whatever. Good deal. All right. That's it. Cheers, everybody. Have a good one. Take care. Catch you next time. Adios. Have a good weekend. Mr. Garcia won. All right. Cool. Way to go, Mr. Garcia. Cheers, everybody. Take care.